Welcome to Fearless Finances, where I try to take the fear out of your finances. And how do I do that? Well, those of you who've been here before know I've spent my entire career training financial advisors to be able to help you in your finances. So now, instead of just training them, I'm taking the information directly to you. So if you think that is something that could help you in your finances, be fearless anyway, I encourage you to subscribe because I'd love to see you back here again. I've been doing a few videos today. I thought I better stock up because I haven't been doing a lot of long form videos. My book is almost published. The text is all done. It's going through final edits. There's a lot to publishing. That's a lot more than just writing the book. And I'm hoping my next few titles will go a lot more smoothly. But since I had a lot of energy to do a few more videos, I looked through my queue of topics that I've thought about doing videos on. And I thought, you know what? Let's just go to Dave Ramsey's channel, see what he's got there, and see what we can talk about. If you've never been here before, I can just tell you that Dave Ramsey got a lot of stuff wrong. In fact, the book that I just finished, instead of being titled The Morality of Money, I was going to title it What Dave Ramsey Got Wrong. And it could have been like a 5-book set. So I thought it'd be kind of fun just to tune into one of his videos, unscripted, and see what he has to say. You and I will just watch it together. The one that I selected is entitled, What If I Only Have $3,000 Saved for Retirement at 62? Let's see what advice Dave has to say. I'll meet you on the other side.
Calling relating to my dad. He's 62, and about a month ago, had a conversation with him about retirement and where he was with that. And I found out that he has a little over $3,000 to his name right now in a checking account. And he makes good money at his job, makes over $100,000 a year, but he has really high expenses, and recent medical debt has wiped out a lot of his savings. So my question's relating to how can I help him start moving towards realizing an actual retirement in a timely amount of time.
Dave is about to ask this gentleman a question after he offers a little bit of advice in his mansplaining kind of way. But if you were to ask this gentleman a question, what would it be? Because I have to tell you, the question that Dave asks is not the question that I would ask. I would ask these expenses. The fact that the father makes a reasonable amount of money, but hasn't saved much yet. So what are these large expenses? Because the only way, the most effective way, the most efficient way he's going to be able to start saving anything reasonable for retirement is to cut the expenses. But this is not the route that Dave decides to go. See how I tell you he gets a lot of things wrong? Back to Dave.
How can I help him start moving towards realizing an actual retirement in a timely amount of time?
Mostly it would be coaching him, right? That's what you mean by help, right? Showing him some things to do.
Dave, why do you got to lecture people on everything? Like help, coach, whatever word you want to use, it doesn't matter. Jeepers creepers, controlling old white dudes. So tired. Anyway, back to the video. Because this question and the answer typifies Dave.
Number one, why did medical debt wipe out his savings? Did he not have health insurance?
He does, but he has a chronic health condition, and so his deductible is really high, and he's had a couple procedures over the past couple of years that he's had to pay out of pocket for because his deductible didn't cover all of it.
Well, no, after the deductible, then copay kicks in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specifics of this.
Well,
to
that's
be
how
honest, but-
insurance, here's how insurance works.
Dave is now going to lecture this gentleman about how health insurance works. And I'll just say, because I started my career in health insurance, he's about to give him some very outdated information. The other thing is some people with chronic conditions coming up with the cost of insurance, the premium, and the high deductible can be $10,000 to $20,000 each and every year. It's insane. And instead of Dave recommending that his listeners, readers, subscribers actually vote for somebody who might have a health insurance solution or a health care solution, he encouraged them to vote for Donald Trump. Now, we'll just push that aside for now. Dave is in Dave's little world. Dave isn't dealing with the problem at hand. This gentleman has $3,000 and he has a certain amount of expenses. What are the expenses? We need to know the expenses and the income to start to formulate a plan. Dave just wants to talk about what Dave wants to talk about. Let's hear what else he has to say after his little lecture about health insurance.
The deductible, you pay 100% of the bills until you meet the deductible. After you meet the deductible, typically it's an 80-20 after that. They pay 80% and you pay 20%. And so do you have any idea what his deductible is? Like 10 grand or something?
Yeah, it's pretty high, something like that.
Okay. So he's gone through 20 grand by meeting the deductible 2 different years. And then he had a procedure beyond that he owed 20% of that procedure. And that took some more money, maybe another 10 or 15,000, we'll just call it. So maybe he's gone through $30,000 or $40,000. So he still didn't really have any money.
Right.
This is so out of date and not important. Dave, get to the point.
Right. I mean, he didn't go through $200,000. He went through 30 or 40.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure that we get the table set here. So he's worked all his life and he makes 6 figures and he's saved no money is what we're really dealing with.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so
Dave continuing to go on about co-insurance on this gentleman's health insurance, point one, is super out of date. I have no co-insurance on my health insurance. I haven't had it for years. I have an HSA plan, a health savings account that has a large deductible, yes, and I contribute to the savings account to cover the deductible. But once my deductible is met, the plan covers 100%. And honestly, because co-insurance, what Dave is describing here is so, I don't want to say difficult to understand, but it just makes it more convoluted when you're talking about a health insurance program with somebody. Most people don't have it, don't buy it, don't sell it. This man is like stuck in the 1990s or 80s, just like Donald J. This is why we need white men to either open their ears and their minds or get out of the way. But back to the video, because I've gotten off track.
is he single?
Yep. Yeah. My parents divorced a few years ago, so he's
Okay.
been on his own for a while.
Okay.
Why does that matter right now, Dave? I mean, like, you're halfway through this call, this video, and you have not even asked what his living expenses are. Good Lord Almighty. And I'm wondering why he's asking if he's single or not. Now, I will tell you, being a single lady, it is harder. When you only have your income, your Social Security, you have to build all the retirement you need for retirement by yourself. And especially after a divorce where you potentially had to give some of what you built up to someone else, which is what I had to do, it does make a difference. But in the grand scheme of things, in answering this one question from this caller, it is not the most important issue. Back to Dave.
Well, if he called us on the air, we would say, get on a detailed written budget and pile cash. You make 100 grand. Well, my expenses are high. Cut your expenses. You're living too high on the hog, as we say in Tennessee. So what is his stinking expenses?
Finally. Dun, dun, dun. I think we're like 3 or 4 minutes into this. Unbelievable. Here we go.
From what I know, and he's shown me, he pays about 4,000 a month in expenses.
Okay. Well, he makes 8,500 or 8,800. Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, that part of my dilemma is I don't know where.
Yeah.
I don't know where the money's going.
He doesn't either.
Okay. We finally got around to the expenses, $4,000 a month. Who knows how much of that's true? Sometimes people hide certain things. Maybe they have an addiction, a drinking problem, a shopping issue, and they hide that in the budget. Unlike Dave, though, my advice wouldn't be necessarily to figure out where all your money's going. It can be helpful. But if we just find ways to curb our expenses, that helps too. If I do have a shopping problem, shop less, buy less. Every time before I buy something, question if I really need that. Save up a certain amount of money and then decide to spend maybe $10 or $20 of it, or a very small percentage of it. If my house is big and grand, does this single dude really need a big grand house? Do I need a big grand truck? Maybe I should downsize some of that. Anytime I can just reduce the amount of money I spend on something, instead of spending it, I'm saving it. Maybe the problem's going out to eat. I don't know. But we don't necessarily need a complete detailed budget to figure that out. We know on average where we're spending our money. But it turns out we're about to find out that this dude has more than this particular money issue.
And so if you're going to coach him, he needs to know where his money's going. And if he doesn't pay attention, he's going to retire and eat Alpo.
Yes.
It's time to get your crap together. You're 62. You probably got 10 years of good hard work to do. And he could pile up several $100,000 in the next 10 years, making $100,000 by managing very, very carefully. He could have a decent nest egg at retirement.
Yeah, there's a second part to this as well, if you have the time for it.
Okay.
He was recently involved in a real estate deal that went sideways, and there's a chance he could be looking at a judgment payment to a bank of around $500,000.
Well, that will bankrupt him.
Yes.
He hasn't seen $500,000 ever.
Right.
And so the only chance he's got there is to negotiate down. And do you have partners in that deal?
Yes, he was one of 5 partners.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even sure where Dave is going to go with for the rest of this call. I'm kind of done with it because this is the thing. When Dave says this is going to bankrupt him, he kind of already is bankrupt. How many agree? If you have $3,000 in a cash account and that is the extent of your net worth, we don't know if he has equity in a home and some of those other things, right? Those would all be things that we look at when we're trying to gauge someone's financial plan and trying to determine the best way to get ahead. Dave isn't doing any of that. And I get it. He's just on a phone call. So I mean, there's limited amounts that you can do with that. But the gentleman is already bankrupt and you cannot get blood from a turnip. These people can sue him all night and day. And what will they ever collect? I mean, maybe they could garnish his wages, but this is the other thing. And I think this is the most heartbreaking thing about it. It appears to me that this gentleman is not good at making good long-term decisions. I mean, sometimes bad things happen to the best of people who have the best of intentions and da 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 da. But this person is 62 with $3,000 in a cash account, and they were in some sort of not great real estate transaction. This to me does not look like earmarked for good, sound financial strategies. Are you with me? Here's my other concern. It's not the dad calling in. It's the son who's worried about the dad. that also doesn't bode well, that he's going to start a big turnaround and trying to get things under control himself. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But here is my piece of advice for you. Whatever age you are, whatever you've got going on, do whatever you can to cut your expenses and start to put that money aside. And the younger you are when you start to do it, the more impactful it is. For example, right now I have close to $500,000 in savings. I'm 58. Now, I would have hoped to have $1 million by now, but like I said, I had that divorce and a few other things happen in my life. But these final 7 to 10 years are ultimately important in my saving strategy. This is where it doubles again, and I hopefully hit $1 million. Are you with me? So the earlier you start saving, the better off you are financially. And even though you can go Dave's route and have the budget and detail it out and say, I'm only going to spend, $100 on food every month, and you never go past that $100, that's not a way that I've ever been able to live. But I have been able to look at key expenses in my life and cut them. It's part of the reason I'm living in Mexico. My rent here, a few blocks from the Pacific Ocean, $1,000 a month. My electric bill last month, under $10. This allows me to put more money in savings and get ahead that much faster. Your strategy for doing that might be different. But the fact that Dave didn't start with that, it's just a little crazy to me. All that discussion on health insurance and co-insurance when most plans don't even have it anymore. Dave, you got to just do a little better. And then people like me won't make fun of you so much. Well, I'm glad you stuck around. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about what Dave Ramsey got wrong, I encourage you to click right there. And I'll see you soon.